And so for this last and final section, before we get into our Q&A focus, we're going to talk a little bit about introduction to K-2 learning focus, because as we said, grade 3 and even grade 4, the transition is important. The amount of workload and basically the amount of workload definitely goes up after grade 2. So you want to make sure that you're planning ahead and that the students are developing these key points in these K-2 years, so that when they get to that period, that they definitely do well. So here's just a couple right here. We have a couple points to kind of keep in mind for the K-2 key learning focus. And the first one here is to make sure that you're exploring your child's academic and extracurricular interests. They're trying a bunch of different subjects, trying a bunch of different extracurriculars, finding their passion, so that if they find their passion early, then once they get into the higher grades, they will have a very good understanding of that subject, of that sport or musical instrument, and they can excel at it and also be very passionate about it. And like we said, see it as more of a fun hobby rather than a chore, because if they're introduced from a more earlier age, it definitely helps with that process. So definitely explore their interests both academically and for their hobbies and extracurriculars. And these next 2 points are more academic. They kind of go hand in hand. So for the first one is to make sure to develop good learning habits from stage 1. This can include good studying habits, making sure that they have good studying schedule, a good studying kind of ritual, whatever you want to call it. And this is definitely important because, like we said, when they have that jump from grade 2 to grade 3, the academic load goes up. So if they have these good learning habits, have these good studying habits, they will be more prepared for this level, which you need that foundation. It is more important once you get to the next level. And if they don't have those learning habits, it can be a struggle for the child to adapt to that increased workload. So learning habits and studying habits definitely important. And then for this third one is to make sure to develop good logical thinking skills, good critical thinking skills. This can be done through various subjects. Math is definitely a very good one for logical thinking, critical thinking skills, so that they can develop this. And so when they get to the G3 area where that is more required, they're more familiar with utilizing logical thinking, utilizing critical thinking. So these are just 3 key points to focus on regarding the K-2 learning focuses, learning process. But for this last slide here, it's just an overall summary that we'll go through quickly before we get to our Q&A. And so there's kind of 3 key pillars here. One kind of goes into the other. You have the more broad K-12 planning, and then the more narrow K-5 primary school planning, and then the K-2 enlightenment plan, which can be very intensive, and each kind of build into the other. You have to start from a very young age to make sure that they're ready for each level to come, especially for primary private school planning. As we said, it can be very more advanced than, say, the public school system. So those are kind of the 3 key pillars as they all relate to each other. So